Alright, so I got home, I got in an argument with my mom. She slapped me across the face, she began to hit me. She started beating me. I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death.
You have forfeited your right to live at all. Shall be executed in a method provided by Florida law.
What's what we're gonna do next? Come on.
Talk to me.
This is Aiden Fucci, the notorious teen behind a brutal Florida juvenile crime. On May 9th, 2021, St. John's, Florida, witnessed a heinous act when 14-year-old Aiden Fucci fatally stabbed 13-year-old Tristan Bailey 114 times, abandoning her lifeless body in the woods. Believing he had escaped detection, Fucci's actions were later captured on security footage, which damningly showed the aftermath of the crime. In one footage, Fucci's mother is seen attempting to clean his blood-stained jeans. Despite attending the same school and living in the same neighborhood as Bailey, Fucci showed no remorse, as evident in a Snapchat video where he is seen enjoying himself in a police car after the murder.
I'm in a cop car.
Yep. Tristan.
What's up, guys?
Yep.
Tristan, if you walk out the damn, it's in a cop car, guys.
The situation grows more disturbing with footage from his detention, showing Fucci unfazed during a conversation with his parents.
This girl, right?
Where?
In our neighborhood. Down our main street.
Is she good?
No, she's not.
She's dead. That's why this is very important. It's all on you right now.
What is my problem?
You were
You
the
were
last
the
one.
last
with
one
her.
seen with her. So right now, it's facing you right now, son.
This is very serious, Aiden. You can't act like I don't know. I don't know. You can't, and you can't
You
say
understand
nothing.
this
that's
is
gonna mess
serious? Clearly. You understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
you up. Everything you say will affect you.
As the trial commenced, Fucci, tried as an adult, faced first-degree murder charges. The evidence was damning. The knife used in the crime, security footage, and witness accounts from friends and his girlfriend all pointed to premeditated murder.
114 stab wounds, 49 defensive wounds, 35 wounds to the head and neck, 29 to the back and shoulder, and 6 fatal wounds.
Aiden kept knives for protection. He always had a knife on him if he wasn't at school. He would keep his AirPods. He listened to music to try and calm him down. He said that helped him with his anger.
The trial's emotional peak was reached with victim impact statements, particularly when the victim's sister presented 114 heart-shaped marbles, symbolizing each wound inflicted on her.
114. This jar now holds 114 stones, one for each of the 114 stab wounds that my sister had to endure. I bear the thoughts that one day the trauma we have all been through because of the actions of Aiden Fucci will cost the lives of my other family members. I have been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. I have been unable to work at times during this process due to the trauma and PTSD attacks triggered by knives, blood, and open wounds. My relationships have suffered. My physical and mental health has diminished, and my goals for the future have seemingly disappeared. Aiden Fucci didn't just take Tristan's life that day. He took everything from us.
As the verdict came, Fucci was sentenced to life in prison for the brutal murder of Tristan Bailey, a sentence reflective of the monstrous nature of his crime.
Mr. Fucci, having entered a plea of guilty to the crime of first-degree murder, I adjudicate you guilty of the premeditated first-degree murder of Tristan Bailey. I sentence you to life in prison.
Aiden was just 14 years old when he killed Tristan Bailey, but how does that compare to the violence 12-year-old Morgan Geyser caused?
Stab, 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 stab.
Did you try to stab her before that?
No.
Did you guys go to the park?
Yes.
This is Morgan Geyser, a 12-year-old from Waukesha, Wisconsin, who's facing charges for the attempted murder of her then best friend, Peyton Leutner, on May 31st, 2014. In Waukesha, Wisconsin, Morgan Geyser and Anissa Weyer both 12 years old, committed an unspeakable act that would forever change their lives. They lured their friend Peyton Leutner into a forest and stabbed her 19 times. This heinous act was done in an attempt to appease the fictional character Slender Man.
Who stabbed her first?
I think when he stabbed her first, and then I continued, and like she was like, Morgan, make sure she doesn't miss this game. She told me that she got her in the lung, right here 6 times, and then like in the leg a few times. So we told her we were gonna get help, but we really weren't. We were gonna run and let her pass away. So we...
Remarkably, Leutner survived and was found on a road, where she was rescued.
On a 12-year-old female, she appears to be stabbed.
She appears to be what?
Stabbed.
Stabbed?
Correct.
Are you with her right now?
Yes.
Is she awake?
She's awake.
Is there any bleeding going on?
Her clothing has got blood on it.
Okay, and you found her and she was just laying there?
Yeah.
Despite being arrested, Morgan Geyser was far from shaken by what had just happened, as interrogation footage showed her singing and dancing shortly after being apprehended.
Are you going to put me in prison and I'm gonna rot and die? Please don't cut off my head. I'm just waiting. And hold on the outside. Sometimes I'm walking in.
Geyser was later charged with attempted first-degree homicide, as both she and Weir were tried as adults. With overwhelming evidence in the horrific aftermath, Morgan Geyser's fate was all but sealed. She received a severe sentence of 40 years to life, with a requirement for psychiatric treatment. While some see Morgan Geyser as an innocent victim of pop culture, how does it stack up against a road rage incident that almost turned fatal?
You freaking stupid? Huh? You freaking idiot?
This is Brian Holmes, a fiery teen who's turning Florida's highways into a shooting range. One September morning, 18-year-old Brian Holmes from Florida was involved in a dangerous road rage incident on State Road 415. Holmes, driving erratically and without headlights, rear-ended his soon-to-be victim's car.
Detectives here in Volusia say using license plate reading technology from here in the area, they were able to catch the suspect, 18-year-old Brian Holmes, within 20 to 30 minutes of the shooting. They say they were able to then arrest him at his house.
He then drove alongside her SUV, opening fire and striking her vehicle 7 times. Fortunately, the victim was unharmed. While Holmes admitted to firing at the victim's vehicle in an attempt to hit the tires, his victim painted a very different picture.
Plenty of cars going by, but that was them. They were in front of me. Then they kind of like moved to the right lane, and when I passed, they started shooting.
Volusia County Sheriff's deputies rapidly apprehended Holmes using license plate reader technology. During the arrest, a handgun fell from his waistline, contradicting his initial claim of being unarmed.
Step out of the car. Okay, you don't have a gun or anything on you, right, man? All right, step away from the car. Step away from the car. Step away. Stop. Stop. Stay there.
Brian Holmes was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, discharging a firearm from a vehicle, shooting into an occupied vehicle, and possession of a concealed weapon used in the commission of a felony by a person under 24. Brian Holmes' case was born out of a moment of madness. How does it compare with an 11-year-old preparing to bring death to his schoolmates? This is Quincy Tuttle, an 11-year-old who was about to settle a school squabble with summary executions of his schoolmates. Tuttle brought a .222 caliber handgun and over 400 rounds of ammunition to school, along with several knives. His alarming arsenal was discovered after his mother alerted the school about missing kitchen knives, leading to his arrest and a 2-hour lockdown at the school.
Prosecutors say a .22 caliber semi-automatic handgun was found and 2 loaded magazines.
Tuttle faced serious charges including attempted assault, unlawful possession of a firearm, and possession of a weapon at school. As the trial proceeded, a dark side of this 11-year-old emerged. Quincy Tuttle was sentenced to 2 years in a juvenile detention facility for his actions. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree attempted assault, theft of a firearm, second-degree unlawful possession of a firearm, and possessing a dangerous weapon on school facilities. While Quincy Tuttle's school crime might have had a shiver-inducing beginning in trying to defend his friend, our next case involves another kid killing his mom over bad grades Gregory Ramos.
Alright, so I got home, I got in an argument with my mom. She slapped me across the face, she began to hit me. She started beating me. I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death.
This is Gregory Ramos, a teen who killed his own mother in cold blood in DeBerry, Florida. A chilling event unfolded on November 2nd, 2018, when Gregory Logan Ramos, then 15, strangled his mother, Gail Elaine Cleavinger, following an argument over a bad grade. Emerging facts horrified the nation, as the victim was buried beneath the church's fire pit and the scene was cleaned to perfection. Ramos's meticulous planning and execution of the crime were shocking, particularly given his age and the calculated nature of his actions.
She slapped me across the face, she began to hit me. She started beating me. I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death. I put her in a wheelbarrow, I put her in my car, I took the car, I had a mental breakdown where I was committed suicide 3 times. I drove back to the church, I began to dig a hole. I dig a hole right under the fire pit. I dug a pretty deep hole, pretty deep, deep enough to fit about in, alright?
All the stones were arranged, it was a fire pit. And this is where him and his friends would always come. We did a cursory search. Unfortunately, her foot was protruding after digging down maybe 8 or 10 inches. That's not really a big place to where he put his mom.
The charges came hard first-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. Ramos pleaded guilty, while his friends, Dylan Kegler and Brian Porras, were also charged as accessories for helping to cover up the crime.
I checked the entire house because I was looking for her, but she's not here. I just got home, and my house is completely trashed. It looks like someone broke in the side door.
With compelling victim statements, overwhelming evidence, and the cold calculations in the execution of the crime, the verdict was never in doubt. Gregory Ramos was sentenced to 45 years in prison.
For count 1 is 45 years in the custody of the Florida Department of Corrections, followed by lifetime probation. Probation will have the standard conditions with the special condition of a mental health evaluation.
Murders in the family, like the case of Gregory Ramos, go deep. But how does it compare to Austin Myers, who brutally murdered his schoolmate?
If you kill me, it won't fix anything. It won't bring Justin back. It's only gonna hurt more innocent people.
This is Austin Myers of Ohio, an amateur robber and convicted schoolmate killer. Austin Myers, alongside Timothy E. Mosley, was involved in the murder of 18-year-old Justin back in Waynesville, Ohio, on January 28, 2014. Myers, who knew his victim from middle school, planned the crime meticulously, seeking to rob back stepfather's safe.
Strangling him, that way it would create no mess, pretty much be an easier job to handle. Obviously, Justin was trying to put up a fight, and he wasn't overpowering us.
The plan tragically escalated as Myers and Mosley fatally stabbed and strangled back.
Myers and co-defendant Tim Mosley hatched a plan to burglarize and kill Justin, then carried it out inside the Navy recruit's home in Wayne Township. They choked him, stabbed him 21 times, dumped his body in Preble County, and then fired 2 rounds into it.
As the trial began, Myers faced several charges, including first-degree murder. He was accused of orchestrating the crime, despite Mosley being the one who did the fatal stabbing.
Mosley and Myers are each charged with aggravated murder and the death of 18-year-old Justin Back. Testimony
revealed Myers as the crime's mastermind, including efforts to acquire chemicals for body decomposition and firing twice at the body post-mortem. In an emotional statement, Justin Back's family expressed how crushing the whole incident has been on them.
Austin could have stopped it, but tells Justin, it's okay, it's almost over. You could have changed your mind many times, but you didn't. Especially when Justin was begging for his life.
I'm not going to stand up here and tell you how much I hate you. That is without question. I would just hope that every time you close your eyes at night, you see my son Justin. No, I've made a horrible mistake. I'm only 19 years old. I think there's a lot of good things I can do with my life if you allow me to keep my life.
Austin Myers was sentenced to death, becoming the youngest inmate on death row in Ohio at the time.
I understand how precious life is. The court finds that the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the aggravating circumstance outweighs the mitigating factor. Therefore, the sentence of death shall be imposed upon Austin Gregory Myers on the charge of aggravated.
Bringing a close to the terrible episode, Austin Myers' future killing plans were stopped in their tracks. There was no such luck in our next case, where Marlon Joseph killed his mother's girlfriend and her young daughter. Meet Marlon Joseph, whose uncontrolled rage escalated an everyday kid's dispute to a full-blown double homicide. Marlon Joseph, residing in West Palm Beach with his extended family, was embroiled in a fatal altercation with a neighbor on December 28, 2017. A quarrel between Marlon's daughter and that of Kalata Cowell Kyra culminated in the brutal execution of both mother and daughter.
I heard the shots. I was just getting home. Me and my wife were just coming home. We heard the shots.
And you saw Kyra out
I saw that little girl laying out there, yes.
Joseph faced first-degree murder charges with mounting evidence and eyewitness accounts against him. Prior convictions did not help his case either. On February 26, 2020, his fate was sealed as Joseph received a death sentence, marking the first such sentence in Palm Beach County since 2002. The jury found the murders particularly heinous and premeditated, noting Kyra's age as an aggravating factor.
Jury has recommended 28-year-old Marlon Joseph be sentenced to death.
Now, this is the moment Joseph would learn his fate.
Marlon Luis Joseph, you have not only forfeited your right to live among us, but under the laws of the state of Florida, you have forfeited your right to live at all. Accordingly, it is hereby ordered and adjudged that, as to count one, for the first-degree murder of Kalata Cowell, Marlon Luis Joseph shall be delivered into the custody of the Florida Department of Corrections at the Florida State Prison. You shall be confined there until a date certain selected by the governor of the state of Florida, and on that date, you shall be executed in a method provided by Florida law.
Getting heated with your neighbors can lead to life-changing, terrible decisions, but how does it compare to Mackenzie Chill's jealous love turning into a double murder situation?
Sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose.
This is Mackenzie Shirilla, an aspiring teenage model whose suicide attempt led her into a double murder trial in Ohio. A devastating crash claimed the lives of two young individuals. Mackenzie Shirilla, driving at a harrowing 100 mph, crashed her Toyota Camry straight into a brick building without braking. Dominic Russo, 20, and Davon Flanagan, 19, Mackenzie Shilla's unfortunate passengers, were pronounced dead at the scene. It was soon discovered that Shilla's motive was to end her life after her once sweet relationship with Dominic had gone stale after a few weeks. As the trial began, Shirilla faced mounting evidence from the prosecution of the cold, premeditative nature of her crime, attempting a half-successful murder-suicide with her boyfriend and his friend.
Kenzie's statement in the hospital to Detective Azu, "Can't you just take my license away for 10 years or something?" That statement is Mackenzie Shirilla. The most selfish person I know. Ironically, Dom was the most selfless person I know. Mackenzie Shirilla murdered Dom and Davion in cold blood and had already moved on. Kenzie killed Dom over the thought of losing him, and she made Davion collateral damage. She was driving, going to concerts, and dressing up for Halloween, no thoughts of the families and lives that she had destroyed.
On the other hand, Mackenzie's mother got the chance to address the court.
My name is Natalie Shirilla. I just want to say, am I allowed to address them? So in the hospital, that Vitality post, I commented on that because somebody had called her a murderer, okay? And she's not a murderer.
Expressing the profound heartbreak and loss she had endured due to her daughter's actions. Her emotional statement reflected the pain of losing not just her daughter, but also the two young lives that were taken in the crash.
Count one. The court, having had count one tried to and pursuant to waiver, finds the defendant, Mackenzie Shirilla, guilty of murder, to wit Dominic Russo, in violation of Ohio Revised Code Section 2903.02A, is charged in count one. Count two. The court, having had count two tried to and pursuant to waiver, finds the defendant, Mackenzie Shirilla, guilty of murder, to wit Davion Flanagan, in violation of Ohio Revised Code Section 2903.02A, is charged in count two of the indictment.
As we come to the end of today's episode, these heartbreaking cases remind us of the devastating consequences that can arise from unchecked rage, jealousy, and impulsive decisions. From senseless violence to tragic loss, these stories serve as a somber reflection of the darkness that can sometimes reside within the human psyche.